Welcome to the Bracket Factory and welcome to the latest thrilling episode, which comes to you from a very cold and windy barn on the west coast of Ireland. So unfortunately not much fettling has been done this week, but fortunately last weekend I was lucky to be invited to a very cool event which featured lots of massive engines and interesting cars. So this episode is all about that. Enjoy! So it's a beautiful day and I'm on the road again, and that's because I'm off to have a day playing with large engines. When I say large engines, I mean enormous engines, the sort of engine that you might find in, say, a Second World War bomber, that sort of thing. So it should be a very, very interesting day. And of course, a road trip like this wouldn't be complete without a cheese and marmite panini. So I'm here on site and we're starting to do a bit of setup, starting off with this engine just behind me. So this is a Meteor Mark 4B engine, and it is out of a Swiss Centurion tank. So just busy setting up the engine, and here we have a couple of car batteries, and they're connected in series because we want 24 volts, because the starter motor is a 24 volt starter motor, and this is the starter motor out of the Centurion tank. So once we've connected that, we've also connected up the oil priming pump, which is round here. And then we're going to open this tap and we're going to flick this switch, which will start to prime the oil. When we've got pressure built up, what we'll do is we will shut this priming tap, open the main oil feed, and then we are ready to try start the engine. And what we'll need to do is use this car gas pump, pump it 5 or 10 times, prime the engine, and then we're ready to turn the magnetos on, which is the ignition system, and hit start. Well, that's the plan anyway. And then others started to arrive. Hello, Viv! Look, looks like you've got a valuable load on board.
I have indeed.
Excellent, excellent. Yes. We're going to have a good look at that in a minute.
Absolutely.
Walk on by. That aero engine dropped off and it was time to start the Meteor. Okay, so step one is to prime the oil pressure, so we'll turn that on. What do you want it to go to? About?
Just the top out usually.
Okay. It's about the limit, isn't it? Stop moving. 20.
I mean, 20's adequate.
It's fine.
It's
okay.
Fine. Yeah, that's perfect.
Right.
You've got oil
I'll
pressure there.
Shut that.
Right.
Valve open.
Shut that one. Open that one.
Bleed the pump valve shut.
So that one's shut,
right,
that one's
so
open.
We are turning on the fuel. One.
That's it.
Fuel on.
Give a bit of a prime on the
Right, okay.
fuel. Got anything there at all, Chris, on that one?
No, not yet. Just need to flick it over.
Just flicker a bit. Okay.
Okay.
Anything on your side?
A little bit, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
good.
so
Right.
priming so we feel
So
some
we're
resistance.
we're filling the carburetor bowls now.
Yeah.
Bit of
car gas.
probably 4 or 5.
Okay. One.
Once this comes up, so
Okay.
go up. 1,
2, 3, 4.
I pull it out and I leave it out and then just feed it in gently as it fires.
Okay.
To get it so I leave it like that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Magneto's both
Magneto's
on.
on.
bit of throttle.
Bit
Bit of throttle.
Okay.
Tiny that should do.
Give her another go. Cool.
It works.
It works.
It works.
Well done, mate.
It works.
Right,
Mission accomplished.
We'll just get a cable.
Success! But things are turning up thick and fast now, so time to check a few things out. Look at that. Here with Robin, and we're looking at his Field Marshal tractor, which is an absolute awesome looking machine. So can you tell us a bit about it? How old is it for a start?
Well, this is Field Marshal Series 3A. It's around 1955. It's one of the last of the Field Marshals, really. Yeah.
Diesel.
Diesel, full diesel. Yeah.
Yeah. Two-stroke.
Two-stroke. Yeah.
What's the capacity?
Got me now. I think it's about 5.7 litre.
Single cylinder.
Single cylinder.
So
horizontal.
And how do you start it?
Well, I start it with a paper in the front.
Yeah.
And with a starting handle.
Right. Okay.
And the decompressor works off of that wheel there.
That is.
So
okay. So the starting handle engages.
Yeah.
That. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So presumably it's quite a large starting handle, is it?
It is a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look at the starting handle.
It's just a key that you'd normally use.
Yeah. So it's like an Austin 7 one.
Yeah. Small.
Absolutely massive.
Well, we might as well do a bit of a start.
Right, let's stand just here. Wow. So do you have to position it with respect to top dead centre?
I always do. That's where the wheel drops off. So
right.
I know where it is if I'm. So I know how many turns I've got.
Oh, so this is like a thread almost.
Yeah, it's a stroll. Yeah, so it just runs off as you get up to speed, sort of thing.
Wow. Okay.
So we take the paper holder out. So it's a special bit of paper. It's got saltpeter soaked into it.
Oh right, okay.
So it smoulders.
So where'd you get that from? Is it just commercially?
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
Robert Crawford over in Lincolnshire still supply quite a lot of spares for these.
Right, okay.
So stuff's starting to get expensive though. I think a piston's about 1,500 quid.
Wow, okay.
But that's what it is. So you just want to glow on there, really.
Right,
just
okay.
to,
so it's like
act as a
primitive version of a glow plug, presumably.
Yeah, I have seen glow plug conversions, but
right, okay.
I haven't even got a battery on here.
in it goes.
Yeah, so that's gone in there in the front.
Yeah.
I'll give it a bit of revs.
Right.
And then we're good to go.
Right, okay. Fantastic. So what will it tick over at?
Well, he will tick over a little bit slower than that. But,
Yeah.
Not very easy to set the throttle on these. The earlier ones had an easier adjustment,
Yeah,
so you could actually notch it back. But
Pretty cool, eh? So now quite a few things had arrived, so it was time to have a good look around. So this is a 6-inch scale traction engine. What that means is it's 6 inches to the foot, which is another way of saying half scale. So it's 50% the size of a normal traction engine.
let me show you something. So normally you should start only at the end here. You're just preparing for .64 by 22.5. It's a whopper. I suspect it's probably off a Halifax bomber or something, or a Lancaster bomber, I'm not sure.
So loads of interesting stuff, but it was time to take a good look at that aero engine.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Maybe even thread it through the pallet, then it can't miss that.
Just run it along beside it.
Right, I'm here with Dave and Graham, brothers. One's good looking, one's not. So Dave, tell us what we have here.
This is an Alvis Leonides. We're trying to work it out. I think it's about 30 litres, and they fitted them. This one was for a thing called a Sea Prince, which was a high-wing, two-engined sort of commercial aircraft
I
of
see, yeah.
the 50s,
Okay.
late 40s maybe. They also the single-engine installation was used on the what they call the Piston Provost.
Okay,
So
yeah.
that was the RAF trainer. And it preceded the imaginatively named Jet Provost.
Oh right, I see.
Yeah, a lot of RAF pilots learnt on this.
Okay. So it's, how many cylinders is it?
9
9 cylinders?
cylinders, 30 litres. As I said, it's got a single speed supercharger in it.
Okay. Where is this? Can you point out the supercharger for?
Well, it would be buried in here.
Buried in there
So
somewhere.
you can
I
tell.
see.
So that's
Okay.
that's the induction pipe.
Yeah.
So that
Right.
casting in there,
Right, so right
that's where the
inside that, yeah.
supercharger will be, and
Okay.
so the compressed charge gets shoved into the cylinders here.
Right. Okay. And this is the sort of radial exhaust manifold.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can see. Points out on there.
It's
Okay.
a bit dirty.
Okay.
This is cleaner than it was. Yes, it got very dirty at one point. There's the trouble with radial engines. Obviously, they've got the cylinders at the bottom,
Yeah.
so oil drains down. And,
Yeah.
So on these, when they were running every day, it wasn't much of an issue.
No, but if it's sitting
when
there
you
for
only run
ages, yeah.
them for every 3 months or so, the oil gets where it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And then it's a messy old startup.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is or was a new engine, so it's probably not even run in yet. So
Right.
that's
Okay.
another
So this
thing.
is effectively old stock, if you like, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
Cool.
And
And
the-
this is obviously the control panel.
yeah, so it's got some period instruments.
Yeah.
A mate of mine did all of the wiring and the assembling the instruments and so on, but they are necessary.
Right. So and this is actually this is the checklist, which has had a few amendments by the looks of it
Yeah,
over
yeah.
the time.
Yeah, that wasn't my checklist. We've modified it.
Right. Okay.
Good grief, there's a full-size traction engine just coming in. So,
Blimey. Yeah.
we've obviously got, throttle, we can change the pitch
Yeah.
on the propeller.
Okay.
So, it creates quite a draft.
Yeah, it does, and I see it's tethered
Yeah.
to the building, which is probably not such a bad idea, is it?
It did actually slide.
It did
a little
actually
bit.
slide, excellent.
So, yes, I think because I normally run it on gravel. So
Right. Okay. It's got a bit
It
of
digs in,
Yeah.
but it's as smooth as a billiard table.
Excellent.
This, which is a little bit too smooth.
So we've already had a little test run, but we're going to obviously have another run later on, aren't we?
we are.
Excellent.
We are.
So we're looking forward to that. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Cheers.
Ray.
So that aero engine was a tough act to follow, but we decided to start up both Meteors, all 55 litres, and see if we could compete. So that was another Meteor undone, and we did about 4 or 5 of those. So it's time to check out some interesting cars.
So can you tell us what we're looking at?
It's a Bristol 403, which
Yeah.
I've had since I was 19.
Wow.
Bought in 1981.
Fantastic.
And lots of work's gone on. It was bought from one of the Wurzels.
Was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He had three.
Okay,
And 2
so-
got damaged, and he sold this one to pay for
Right,
repairs.
okay.
A chap called Anthony Bayliss, who was
Right,
very,
okay.
very friendly. Once the car was restored, it was living in the Bristol Industrial Museum. And one day I phoned up Anthony Bayliss and I said, do you fancy having a ride in your old car? He was there within half an hour.
Wow, excellent.
So we took him for a bit of a drive, and he loved it. And he said, thanks so much, I'm off to Spain. I'm emigrating in about a week's time.
Wow, okay.
So I just caught the right
Fantastic,
moment.
excellent.
Yeah, yeah.
And what have you done to the car? You know.
It's probably a shorter list to say what I haven't done.
Okay. So it's had virtually a nut and bolt restoration,
Pretty
is
much,
it?
yeah.
Excellent.
It was a bit of a rolling exercise, and
Yeah.
it did very well when it was in the Industrial Museum.
Right,
They
okay.
were very kind. They let me use the workshop.
Fantastic.
And then steadily over sort of 15 years or so, it turned into this.
It's absolutely immaculate,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it?
And it could have stayed when it became M-Shed, but it was
Yeah.
a lock-in, and I
Right.
didn't want a lock-in.
Right, I
Whereas
see.
when it had been M-Shed, I could just open the doors, take it out for a drive.
Fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
And is it part of a fleet of classic cars, or is just this?
It's a fleet of one.
It's a fleet of one. Well, that's a very, very sensible approach. It's your first love and only love. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Good
Yeah,
for
yeah.
you. Good for you. It's absolutely fantastic. Lovely to see it. Cheers.
your friend again.
I'm here with George, and George is going to show us this rather amazing looking Bentley. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Well, it's a 1930 4.5 litre
Yeah.
Bentley, which I've owned now for, well, since 1968.
Wow.
And it cost them the grand and splendid sum of £800,
Okay.
which I suppose is quite a lot of money at the time.
Yeah, in 1968. Yeah.
Nothing like what you'd have to pay for it today, I suppose.
Yeah.
But no, I've owned it ever since.
Okay.
My father founded and ran Bristol Cars,
Okay.
so it's mildly embarrassing. That
I see.
haven't bought
Okay.
a Cars
Yeah.
at Bristol.
Yeah.
But when I left school and got a job, I'd earned about £400,
Okay.
and I had an ambition to buy a 1930 Talbot, which were about £400. And I found one advertised in a car magazine, and my father came back from Filton and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I found the car of my dreams. You know,
Excellent.
I'm going to buy this Talbot." And he said, "Oh, for God's sake, don't buy Talbot." He said they were problematical when they were new. And he said, "If you're going to get a car, get something decent."
Yeah.
So I said, "Well, what's something decent?" And he said, "Get a Bentley." So I said,
Of course.
"Well, are you saying
Why
that?"
wouldn't you?
Yeah. I said, "It's okay, you saying that, you know, but I got 400 quid, and a Bentley's 800 plus." And to my astonishment, he said, "Can you get the day off work?" And I did. And we went to London to a funny little sort of backstreet Mews garage where a bloke dealt in cars like this. And he paid 400 quid and I paid 400 quid.
Fantastic.
Here it is still
Thanks,
today.
Dad.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
So can
Yeah.
you tell us what model it is?
It's a 4.5 litre,
Yeah.
1930. And of course, I mean, they are, you remember Bugatti described them as the fastest lorries in Europe.
Right, I see,
And,
yeah. It is rather heavy duty, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
Yes, it really is.
And what's it like to drive?
Oh, wonderful. I mean, once it's rolling,
Yeah.
it's absolutely terrific.
And what's it like to stop?
Okay.
Okay, right.
Yeah. I mean, actually, my son had borrowed it, so I haven't driven it for nearly 2 years.
Right, okay.
Yesterday, I took it for a run and very quickly discovered that you know, you really do have to leave a good gap between you and the car. But
Excellent.
no, it does stop, and it's a tremendously good car.
Yeah. And how many miles do you think you've done over the years in it?
I don't know. During the last 2 years, when I didn't see it, my son drove it down to the south of France and back.
Okay.
And, so it did, you know, a couple of
Okay,
thousand miles.
good. Excellent, excellent.
But it's running better than ever now, as a result of being used to it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a keeper then.
Well, I've kept it so far.
Excellent.
What I didn't know was, you know, the great watchmaker, the late great watchmaker George Daniels, who not only made the finest watches in the world, but also had the best collection of Bentleys there ever was.
Right.
George always used to say that the down payment on a vintage car, well, at least the cost of a vintage car is the down payment of its repairs. And that is certainly true.
Right.
And, you know, it just goes on and on. Costing
Yeah.
money.
Well, you know, it's worth it, isn't it?
It is.
So after looking at those cars, it was time to see if we could start the Hercules, the really big aero engine. Alas, it wasn't to be with the Hercules, so I caught up with Jamie, who told me all about it.
Right. So I'm now here with Jamie, our host for this event, and he's going to tell us a little bit about this engine. So, Jamie, what do we have here? What is this amazing engine?
Okay, it's a Bristol Hercules Model 264, which were fitted into the biggest Varsity, and this particular engine was built in '53. If you were to pan round, it's actually the same year as the Bristol car that's over there.
Okay, so we've already seen the Bristol car actually. So
Yeah, so it's the same year as that.
Okay.
And This particular model was 1950 horsepower.
Yeah.
The Hercules first came out in 1938, so it was really one of the two stable engines of the war. So the Merlin and the Hercules.
But it's a sleeve valve, isn't it? So what does that actually mean?
So what you have, there was a conversation apparently, if I've got the story right, there's a conversation between Roy Fedden, who was head of the engine division of the Bristol Aeroplane Company, with him and Harry Ricardo, the famous automotive engineer. And Harry Ricardo at that stage was convinced that conventional poppet valves, that's the normal stem valve that you see, was going to run out of, as power's increased, that wasn't going to be able to handle the airflow and so on. And he was convinced that actually sleeve valves would be the way. And he readily persuaded Roy Fedden of this, and it set Roy Fedden off on a quest,
on a mission,
to perfect the sleeve valve. The problem is, what you have basically is you have an outer cylinder casting. You then have what is effectively the cylinder wall is actually a sleeve which has a, shall we say, a finger at one corner, which is allowed to be operated by a cam, so it kind of rotates in this fashion.
Right.
And that
so it goes up and down and side to side.
Yeah, this induces this sort of action.
Yeah.
And then by cutting a port, and it's not a round port, it's actually quite a distinctly shaped, sort of almost like rhomboid port. By having a port in the sleeve and then a port in the cylinder wall, there's a point where it kind of coincides.
Right, I see.
And what you get then is actually potentially much better airflow. You don't have a valve stem getting hot.
Yeah, and of course you don't have all the valve gear over the top of the cylinder as well, do you?
That's correct.
So you've made it more compact.
That's right, a more compact diameter.
And there's a big gear train. There's a famous image of a gear train,
right.
which is
so
used
if you
to
were to
drive
take this front end casing off, there is an almost clock-like array of gears in there, which drive these individual cams, which activate that. So we've got a 14 cylinder, so it's 2 rows of 7. They're pretty compact.
They're
shielded or cowled, I should say, so that obviously the air.
So it's all air cooled, of course. So it's forced through.
And the design of the cylinder head has changed quite frequently. If you look at a wartime engine, just post-war, the cylinder head actually looks really quite different. They had this finned arrangement on the late cylinder, so this is quite characteristic of the last of the heads. But they proved to be a very reliable engine, where early Merlins were probably a 500-hour service interval. The later ones with 2-piece block were 1,000 hours.
1,000, okay.
These would have been more like 2,000 hours.
And these were fitted to Lancasters, weren't they? Later on,
they weren't particularly successful in Lancasters. They were very successful in Halifaxes.
Right.
And it'll be something to do with. I'm not really an aircraft person, but it's the positioning, I think, of where the engine is relative to the wing, and the way the airflow goes around and over the wing, and under the wing.
So it's stopping. It was disrupting that and preventing lift across the wing.
Not thought through, I suspect, on when between the two. You can either kind of design for one or the other, but it's difficult to design for either type of installation because one has this is very centralised to the engine, whereas on the Merlin it's more offset. So you end up with the prop in a different place relative to the wing.
And unfortunately, we couldn't get this one started today, could we?
No, we suspiciously wouldn't, because the plan was to get one of the Meteors. We felt more comfortable with that. The technology is more straightforward. We felt comfortable we could get that done, so we thought we'll concentrate on that, and then that will leave us a week. To sort this
loads of time.
We actually ended up with 3 hours.
Right.
And the problem, which is round here, is the mechanical fuel pump.
Right.
So what we have is a Plessy vane pump. That's to say, you've got an offset rotor with 2 or 4 sets of blades in there, which, as it rotates, it produces a chamber which gets smaller as it rotates and produces the pressure. And whilst that bit seems to be operating correctly, as best we can tell, this uses what's known as a Hobson injection carburetor. So at a quick glance it looks like a conventional type of a car, but actually it's a little more complicated. And among the things it has is this metering arrangement, whereby you've got a metering unit on the end of the fuel pump, which is has a vane inside, and so effectively that's measuring the fuel flow, and compensating in the carburetor. It's a single point injection system, so it injects into the supercharger, and it requires a minimum of 15 psi to operate. Its normal running pressure is more like 20-25 psi, and what we think, well, we just don't seem to be getting any decent pressure from the Plessy unit, and at the moment I'm still at a loss as to why we're not. We put there is a diaphragm on it as well, which is part of the pressure control mechanism, which is a rubber impregnated silk, and they go porous.
Right.
And in fact, I think the last crash of the Vickers Varsity, there was, I think in the accident report, it relates to the diaphragm in the fuel pump. But anyway, we've had some new diaphragms made, hopefully to the correct spec. So that's one thing eliminated. But we're still getting two issues. Not enough pressure, and we're getting fuel getting past the gland seal. That's to say the seal between the engine and the pump itself. There's a seal both sides, and the idea is if the inner set fail, then the fuel goes into the middle chamber, if you like, and then it can be released. At the moment we're getting quite a lot of fuel loss, which we're recovering.
Yeah.
We can kind of get by that as long as it's not getting any.
Okay.
But there's just this issue, we're just not getting enough fuel pressure.
So of course this means you have to do it all again.
I think my trick is to really sort out another fuel pump.
Yeah.
I have got a couple of spares, but and what I need to do is build a little test rig.
Okay.
And what we do is run it off the engine.
Fantastic.
At variable speed.
So we've got a plan. So can we come back next time when it's running?
Yes.
Fantastic.
In fact, I think there's a couple of potential. There's a couple of local things, very Bristol-based.
Yeah.
Events that we want to.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. We're looking forward to it. Cheers. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you, Chris.
So that was the day, and a massive thank you to Jamie who hosted the day. And if you're interested in big engines like that, then you better stay tuned, because one, we're going to be going back there to try and start the Hercules, and two, that Meteor that I was running, well, that is now the property of the bracket factory, and that's going to be coming back to the bracket factory, where we're going to be doing more startups, more fettling, just generally playing around with big engines. So if you like that, please hit like. If you want to see more big engines, please hit subscribe. Please leave me a comment, let me know what you think. What was your favourite thing of the day? What would you have taken home with you? But for now, thanks for watching.